excellent. Absolutely excellent. So Luis King Kong Ortiz has accepted to face Dillian Whyte on December 22nd in the United Kingdom. I really hope this fight actually gets made, because Dillian Whyte is set to make his ring return on December 22nd, right? And he was supposed to fight Derek Chisora. Eddie Hearn has been saying he's gonna try to make the rematch with Derek Chisora is the most likely next fight for Mr. Dillian Whyte. But of course, him and Luis Ortiz have been having this back and forth, talk about how Dillian Whyte has accused Luis Ortiz of ducking him, and back and forth, just all this, back and forth stuff where they're accusing each other of ducking each other. And Dillian Whyte said on Twitter to Luis Ortiz that he would fight him on his ring return date of December 22nd in the United Kingdom, because Luis Ortiz said to Dillian Whyte, why don't you fight me on December 1st on the undercard of Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder? But Dillian Whyte said, no, I don't want to do that. I want you to come to the UK December 22nd. And Luis Ortiz agreed to that. So I really hope this fight happens, because that's a really fantastic fight. That is a really fantastic fight, and that is a really difficult fight for both men. I personally think that's a difficult fight for Dillian Whyte. I also think it's a difficult fight for Luis Ortiz. I don't know how to call that fight. I think it's a really difficult fight. I think this might be Dillian Whyte's most competitive fight in years. I think when he fought Joseph Parker and when he fought Lucas Brown, his last two fights, I think those two fights won't be as competitive as this fight if they actually fight. Because I think Luis Ortiz is a much more difficult fighter to fight than somebody like Joseph Parker, especially the fact that he's a big puncher. And unlike Joseph Parker, he takes more risk, in my opinion, Luis Ortiz, as he showed against Deontay Wilder. Joseph Parker, he's faster on his foot speed than Luis Ortiz, but Joseph Parker wasn't taking enough risk. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to do to beat Dillian Whyte. He was doing good with the slipping and sliding, but he wasn't letting his hands go enough. And that was his problem in that fight. That's why he lost that fight. He wasn't busy enough. He has this thing where he's never takes enough risk whenever he's in a big major fight, when he's fighting in a big event. And that's why he lost against Dillian Whyte. But Luis Ortiz, I think he's a lot more willing to take risks, as he did against Deontay Wilder. He had him hurt several times, and he was beating him. So that's a fantastic matchup, man. Both of these guys are big punchers. I think technically Luis Ortiz is a bit better than Dillian Whyte. And I would like to see just how Dillian Whyte does against Luis Ortiz compared to Deontay Wilder. Because as boxing fans, you know what we do. Every time a fighter fights a similar opponent, we always compare their performances. With Deontay Wilder, he struggled. He went life and death with Luis Ortiz, and I thought he was losing that fight. But he did manage to drop Luis Ortiz 3 times before eventually stopping him. But he also got hurt himself badly against Ortiz. So when it comes to Dillian Whyte, how is he going to fare? Is it going to be a case where, just like Wilder, he's losing the fight? He's losing several rounds, and then he catches Ortiz and hurts him, and then finishes him off at the end of the fight. In the second half of the fight, or is it going to be more competitive? Is it going to be a thing where it's round 5 and they're both even? You gave half of the rounds to Luis Ortiz and the other half to Dillian Whyte. I'm really curious to see how Dillian Whyte fares with somebody like Luis Ortiz. But one thing I will tell you is I don't think it's going to be easy. Although I think Luis Ortiz has a, not the most impressive resume. I never called him a bum. I've never said he wasn't talented. I do believe that Luis Ortiz is a talent. And I just think his style is really dangerous for someone like Dillian Whyte. But I'm also interested to see how, I really want to see how Dillian Whyte approaches this fight. And I really hope this fight gets made. Dillian Whyte said himself, fight me on December 22nd. So I hope he doesn't back out. I hope he actually fights Luis Ortiz, because I think this will be a credible win for both of them. If Dillian Whyte beats Luis Ortiz, that would be a credible win for him. But also, it will be a really credible win for somebody like Luis Ortiz, because if Luis Ortiz manages to beat Dillian Whyte, then he's right back up there in getting a big title fight. He could ask for the Deontay Wilder rematch, or he could even approach Anthony Joshua, right? Because right now Dillian Whyte is in line to face Anthony Joshua April, right, of next year. So let's say Luis Ortiz fights him in England and beats him. Let's say he knocks out Dillian Whyte. Now he should be in line to face, right? Everyone's going to be saying, I want to see Anthony Joshua defend his unified titles against Luis King Kong Ortiz on April next year. So I think it's a good fight for boxing. I think it's a great fight for the heavyweight division in general. And I just think it's just a really fun matchup. I really like this matchup. I'm a fan of this matchup. I really hope it happens. So sometimes fighters act like it's gonna happen and then it doesn't actually happen. I know you guys have to say. I hope that this fight actually happens, man.